Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another R3 Q&A. My name is Kelly Marcel. I'm going into my third year of biomedical engineering, and I'm the R3 Media and Outreach lead. With me are a few other amazing R3 execs. So to start us off, would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
I'm Luka. I'm the R3 Science Mechanical lead, and I just graduated mechanical engineering.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I just graduated architectural science, and I previously was on the mechanical team, and now I'm helping run the media team, graphic design.
I'm Daniyal. I'm going into my final year of mechanical engineering, and I'm the mechanical design lead for R3.
And I'm Adam Yang. I just graduated electrical engineering, and I am the controls lead for the science portion.
Cool. So our first question is, what made you join the team?
In first year, I was coming into high school, and for some reason I had this idea in my head that, oh yeah, I don't want to do too much. I swear I said this in the last Q&A, but anyways, I didn't want to do too much at once, just want to get used to university, which sounds good in theory, but actually just results in you really not getting much out of your first year of university. And Adam, who's been a friend of mine for years at that point, I think we met in 9th grade, wouldn't stop bothering me about joining the damn team. He would not stop, constantly. And eventually I got bored enough and he wore me down around the summer before my second year, and I caved and joined the team.
So Adam, what was so amazing about this team that made you pester Luka for so long?
It's just like what you see out of it. So with the team, it's a lot of hands-on kind of working. Honestly, everyone on the team is great. They're all there to help each other. So especially as a first year, not only do you get the help in like robotics design, maybe electronic design, all that kind of stuff, you get a lot of help in terms of how you approach courses. A lot of the people have all taken the courses have all done very well, so they're there to help. And it's because of that that I thought, oh, they should join too. We're all one big happy family. When I first started it, I was always someone in high school who wanted to do a ton of stuff, and because I get bored too easily. So I saw the team, I saw some posters, and I was like, oh gosh, I need to join this team. When you do join the team, list out everything you do on it, you've ever done. Doesn't matter what it is, how kind of weird it is, just list it out because they'll find a spot for you. And it usually works out. So yeah, that's why I joined the team. Keep busy.
Even the 3 lines of C++ you wrote in the 11th grade that are still on your resume, you know who you are.
I never did C++ in 11th grade. What are you talking about?
I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah. Like
funny that you thought
like,
I was talking about you.
Code in PHP. We understand your pain. Join the team.
I think that's actually a good segue into our next question, which is, how much robotics knowledge do you need before joining the team?
You don't really need any, right? Like,
yeah.
I didn't have any when I joined. I had like some really simple coding, some really simple electrical, literally zero mechanical when I joined the team in second year. So you could join with basically no background.
That's good.
Adam, Nicole, and I had an extremely unsuccessul robotics team in high school.
I don't even want to.
So basically, no knowledge as well.
A remote-controlled vehicle.
Yeah, basically like, no knowledge as well.
Honestly, the biggest thing is just have the mind that you want to learn in this team, and you'll put your effort in. And no matter what, like one of the members will take you on, and you'll work well on the team. That's what we care about the most, just putting the effort in.
100%.
Yeah. When I joined the team, there was like an online form at the time. I applied. I'm like, yeah, I can CAD stuff, and I was on the robotics team and all of that. I got no response, but I sort of like showed up anyway because of these two, and I ended up first sorting fasteners because I'm like, I'm here anyway, might as well do something, and then sort of like weaseled my way onto the team.
She was infringing on my territory. I was the damn fastener sorter. That's my job.
You must have not been doing a really good job because we've had issues with sorting our fasteners for years.
Hey man, I sorted all those fasteners. It's just that, you know how entropy always tends to increase. Nowhere is that truer than the team's fastener drawer.
Honestly, not that I help at all with it at all. I make more of a mess than I clean
You guys
up.
have never seen the electrical drawer. The electrical drawer is just a hodgepodge of where we stick stuff.
You can't lose things if they all only ever go into one drawer, because technically you always know where everything is.
That was our philosophy when I was lead, and we did pretty damn well. So
as long as you know how to sort things, you're good.
Yeah.
Moral of the story.
If you can sort fasteners, you can use a pair of calipers to measure fasteners. Hop on.
Yeah, and our team's very wide and varied. So I mean, even if you don't have experience in robotics, because that's not where you want to go to, you can tend to find a place on the team doing whatever you feel passionate about. So if you're
100%.
some other student or you don't want to do the whole STEM stuff, we have tons of other areas that you can work in.
Yeah.
That's
Agreed.
great. So our next question is, which has been your favorite team project to work on?
It's still got to be the rover.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Navi?
Robo Sub.
Wait,
gonna have to
I
be
forgot you guys worked on Robo
Navi.
So which parts
Yeah.
did you guys work on?
Adam, well, I'll let Adam speak for himself. I worked on most of the mechanical parts, several bits of the suspension, a few arm bits, and then now on the science parts, which are a completely separate subsystem.
Yeah. I designed
I've-
the wheels a couple iterations ago, so the first compliant wheels, and then
I assembled those. It was painful.
I did too.
It hurt so much. I was there all night before we drove to Utah, Nicole. Don't give me that I did too stuff. I was there all night before we drove to Utah, murdering my fingers till like 5 a.m. riveting those together. It was brutal.
I remember when I wasn't even on Rover, I like randomly walked in and I was helping with the wheels and I sliced my finger open within like 2 minutes of helping. And I was just like, oh, awesome.
Oh, yeah. How about you, Adam? Which?
Basically everything electrical that's been on this rover I've touched, from communications to cameras, the board, system level.
Not always in a good way.
You get to kind of dabble with that no matter what. Hey,
For
well,
me-
no, it's definitely a skill you can pass on. Like, for instance, with the camera systems we set up on the rover, I'm using an identical system at work now to help with some of our failure analysis. So the skills do carry over to other areas. And then people think you're a freaking like wizard whenever you show them. You're like, this is so simple.
When you go to school for engineering, the fact is actually being able to build things with your hands and design them and all that, like in mechanical engineering, actual mechanisms, isn't very emphasized in the coursework. Yeah, they teach you the theory, but I mean,
Actually designing it and making it and playing around with it.
it's a pretty
That's
big
a totally
gap.
different thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I've
agree.
always been jealous of electrical engineers actually, because I always felt that the theory that they learned just applied so directly. Like you understand the theory, basically directly you're able to do real things.
Thank you for the
No, I have to
visual,
agree.
Adam.
I agree with that. Like, a lot of the theory that I've learned in school, I can apply directly from systems you develop for work to like just basic analysis. If you're doing anything in, say, the only one I would say maybe not so much because it's so theoretical is maybe, well, actually, no, that's actually direct application. Like even VLSI, if you do anything with board development, not even board development, but the development of the actual chipsets, when you go to work, it's straight that. Your first and second year are pretty much the most important in electrical in terms of you get your base and everything, and then the later years are for specialization.
Since we're on projects we worked on, what have you guys broken on the team? We've all broken at least one thing or been around when at least one thing broke or like messed up one thing.
I don't think I've actually
gotta be honest.
broken anything. I think I've been around when like the arm wasn't working or like certain parts of the arm weren't working, or if like, yeah, I think mostly just the arm stuff for me.
I have a video
Oh,
of
go
you
ahead,
breaking the
Luka.
claw.
Yeah, no, oh my god, the claw. Oh
Did I
no.
fake that?
And it was, oh, is that the video where I'm like, Adam, be gentler with it. Adam, be gentler with it. And he just destroys it.
Granted, it was 3D
Oh,
printed,
sorry, I
so
meant
it wasn't that
electrical.
strong.
Yeah. No, in that same day, my crowning achievement in terms of breaking things on the team was a couple weeks before, to finish up one of the arm modules, the Extend-O-Matic, which is like an extending thing. I had 3D printed this little adapter plate that we needed. Except the thing was under like constant tension due to the way it was loaded.
I designed that to be
And
aluminum.
during testing, when we were filming for our star video, which is a video we need to do every year for the competition, it broke.
Oh,
Broke, and we had no way to fix it. We were pretty far away from the school, so like it would be like probably a 40-minute round trip to get replacement parts. And it was like, if it wasn't 3D printed, it was a machined part, so there's no way we'd fix it the day of, and we needed it that day. And it broke, and the arm just split in half. The bottom half fell off.
oh,
And
jeez.
I immediately was like, Luka, why did you leave that 3D printed in there? I was like, I meant to replace it. I did. And I completely forgot. And I ended up fixing it with just random fasteners and debris that I found in the bottom of the toolbox we had. That's got to be my most 11th hour thing that I broke on the team at like the worst time.
I think the closest I gotten was when we got brand new radios, I broke the reset button, so then I had to take it apart and push it. That was a fun time. But the nice thing about like with electrical stuff is if you break it, it's super broke. No, remember our first year, we still used USB hubs for everything, and we did not know how to properly set up power converters at that time. It was under Marmetto and even Gabe, and the amount of USB hubs we fried, like we just stick it in and go, magic smoke gone. Gabe reversed the polarity on one of them, and it just instantly died, and you can see the smoke, and it was just the face.
I have a vague memory of it being like 11 p.m. once in Utah, and you come out and you're like, I bricked a radio.
I know, that was my laptop. I bricked my laptop.
You bricked your laptop, right?
Oh.
So many, it's great. So many things go wrong at competition.
If there's one thing we've learned, is that
you learn how to work around it. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. So moving away from our failures and maybe onto some skills that we've mastered while being on the team.
Yeah.
No, legit though. Like seriously, in class, right? You fail and you get a bad grade. It's like, oh no, it's the end of the world. Now I've got to try to like bring up my average in this class where I got a really crappy midterm grade. But when you're doing things on the team, accepting failure is actually a skill it teaches, because you're like, okay, I broke this. Well, how do I fix it? Right? I'm not on a test. I'm not time constrained as much as on a test, but like, how do I unbreak it?
No, 100%. I have to agree.
Ironically, for me, it would have been time management. In terms of project deadlines, I've gotten pretty good with, you always have to set yourself enough time to work on a project.
You see, the reason he said like, in terms of product deadlines is because he knew that one of us would have something to say if he just left it at time management with no like additional rider on it.
Exactly. You know, when you're working on a project, you always got to leave a few weeks for just being able to debug. And debugging is another skill you'll learn very well, at least on the electrical side and the software. Like we've had weird issues, and documentation is another one. We had a recurring issue where we had buffer overflows because we had too many serial print statements in like Arduinos, and that would just completely screw up all the communications across certain modules. So like you learn how to debug stuff, you learn how to really process of elimination in terms of what is actually working in the system, and then where could this system fail. And that's very important even later on in life when you're working on your car, say that breaks down randomly or other stuff.
I can actually agree with both of you. Like everything you make, it's going to fail at some point. Planning around that and knowing that even if you design something to the best of your ability the first time, there's going to be a point where something's going to go wrong, whether it's with your design or the manufacturing or something along those lines, that you have to give yourself that extra buffer.
The manufacturing.
Oh yeah, manufacturing.
Manufacturing's so bad for us sometimes.
Oh, you're just gonna slide all that responsibility onto me, eh? Oh no, when the extendomatic thing went completely out the end, that was a manufacturing failure.
I think my favorite was when we started turning the arm and we completely broke the set screw that was holding the arm in place for the rotation.
Yeah, that was a manufacturing failure. Actually, that might have been a design failure.
The moral of the story is we all plan to fail, and you never want to fail to plan.
Yeah, the diagnosing thing Adam was touching on is really true too. Like if you don't have the experience with your things breaking and having to fix them and figuring out what went wrong, eventually that experience translates to you're doing CAD and you're like, oh yeah, no, that's gonna break. That's never gonna work.
Yeah.
But if you've never done that, then you don't know where to start, right?
Exactly. And you gotta take failures as they come. Like we were galaxy level brain during our autonomous, where we lost one of our cameras due to overheating. And instead of just calling it a day, we debugged the hell out of it, and then we just sent it without cameras, and it still scored us points, the most points we've ever gotten in autonomous. On our year, we had set the autonomous pretty well, but everything broke at the last minute, and then we debugged it and we sent it, and it almost got to the second point, but it ran out of time.
That was the MATLAB program that was working on a laptop, but that
wasn't MATLAB. That was pure Python communicating over ports. Because I wrote that on the vehicle on the drive down. And I even put like latitude, longitude points ahead of the interstate that we were driving on to see if it would navigate and try to correct. But yeah, always be ready to debug a failure during the time it runs.
And also just accepting failure. You know, sometimes it's broken and it doesn't work and you try as hard as you can, but like it is what it is.
Or just not even predicting that you're going to fail. Just accept that it might not work, but that's okay. Yeah. Especially if you have if you allot time for that. Failing once doesn't mean that you're always going to fail. It just means that you've gathered more information, you're learning, and then the next time is going to be less of a failure, and then less, and then
I'm super jealous of the electrical guys because when your stuff fails, Adam, people are just like, oh, it's electrical. It's basically just voodoo anyways. These guys are magicians. So like they're still way smarter than I am, even though their thing just blew up in their hands. With mechanical, when half the arm breaks off, you're like, oh my God, what an idiot.
Moving on to our next question. Which is your favorite R3 robot?
The Rover.
Probably the Rover, yeah.
Really?
Go ahead,
I would
Adam.
go with Ram's
Specifically,
bot.
Navi.
Navi.
Nah.
Which
The
which-
Rover.
Yeah.
The
he tried
Rover
this
has
every iteration.
sentimental value, but I still think the
Yeah.
Robo Sub is cool.
Thing is, we gotta say Rover because I think all of us have at least some amount of our own blood somewhere on that thing.
Agreed. Yeah.
Oh my.
Like
My
in the
legs.
literal sense, you cut your fingers tightening something, or in Adam's case, the thing starts running off in the middle of the night and you take like 1, 2, 3 steps and jump face first into it and catch it by the back.
Nosedive.
Well, no, I didn't get cut because I jumped into it. I got cut because it dragged me about 20 feet.
And then the same thing happened to Gabe like 2 days later.
I gotta admit, I do have a soft spot for the sub though, because I helped with some of the when we were doing some of the 4A stuff. It's cool, but it doesn't hit the Rover in terms of how much fun it is.
Yeah,
I just remembered something, kind of going back to what have we broken and what is my favorite robot.
Here it is.
I remember I was helping test the Robo Sub in the pool, and we were getting set up to test it and everything. I don't remember exactly what we were getting ready to do. We were getting ready to pull it in the pool tub. My foot was on the tether, and they were walking along with the sub, and I broke
And
the
you
seal
ripped it.
on the sub not even 30 seconds before we put it in the water. And we had like a whole day planned, like the start of the testing, everything. And I stepped on the tether and it ripped the seal that we had. And the whole rest of the week, I was just like, damn, I ruined our whole week of testing. Like we had to pull out all of the material that was in there and then reset it. So it took like a solid 3 days. I was like, I messed the next 3 days worth of testing. I wasted so many people's time. That's probably why the sub is my favorite sub now.
With Joseph, we were testing the seal on just kind of the middle compartment at one point, and we filled it up with random bits of steel wrapped in paper and all that so they wouldn't break anything, but to weigh it down. And we dropped it into the deep end of the pool and then realized we're both crappy swimmers. How are we going to get this thing out? So we had to dive down, flip it over to get it a foot further up the deep end, and then go back up, and then go back down, flip it over a foot.
Oh, you guys couldn't pick it up?
No, it was quite heavy, and it would have been pretty hard to pick it up off the deep end and bring it up vertically.
Why don't you guys tether it?
Yeah, the sub was good. The sub does have kind of a special place because of that kind of thing.
Do you think R3 will win the next URC competition, and why?
That's a tough question, honestly.
No, we're definitely gonna win it. The eye opener said we were better than NASA. Remember? How can we lose?
We say we're better than NASA.
But that came from an eye opener article originally.
Yeah.
Oh, did it?
They did an interview, and I don't remember what it was that was said, but it led them to publish. It was not that we were better than NASA.
Testing for life.
Oh, that we were testing. Oh yeah, that we were testing for life, right? Because obviously we're testing for life. We might actually get a positive, right? Because it's in Utah, and I think they intentionally throw positives.
Yeah, they intentionally throw stuff in there.
They said something to the effect of tests in some cases that were more than what NASA was doing, or tests that even
faster?
NASA, or faster than what NASA.
Faster.
I think
There
it was
we go.
faster than what NASA was doing. It's yes, NASA's not under a half-hour competition exercise time limit. I think we even printed out a poster that said R3 is greater than NASA and stuck it on the wall.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Oh, yeah.
Became a meme,
I definitely
became a
did.
joke.
I gotta find that article just to have a copy of it. Just
Honestly,
I'm pretty sure it's still on the website.
put it in the R3 archives.
Yeah.
that was a misunderstanding with the interviewer, but it was pretty hilarious in the end.
I think we'll be really competitive. It's hard to say if we'll win because we haven't had so much time to test and to practice as much as maybe I think all of us would hope. I think if we were in under different circumstances, I'd say we'd win. We're definitely gunning to win. I think we definitely place in worst case scenario. But
winning
we've
is
had
such a
some
high
experience.
bar.
Mm-hmm.
You make a mistake during competition, a bad decision on the driver's part in a competition task, that can cause you to lose, or that can cause you to drop a spot or two. Sometimes spots aren't tight. I believe the year we came in second, there was a decent gap to first.
I think there was like 20 points or something like that.
I thought it was more than that. Like, it was a gap we could have
30.
made up if we'd done really, really well on one of the tasks where we did kind of mediocre. But especially since Auton as a task is like very, 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 very difficult. It's really funny. You look at the scores and it's like, oh, 60, 70, 80, 60, 70, 80, 95. And then you get to Auton and it's like 1, 1, 2, 8, 5, and one team has like 40. That's it.
10.
Nobody even gets a passing. Like, nobody gets better than 50 out of 100 in Auton. I think someone got 60.
The highest score I've ever seen was probably 40, was Stanford, but then they did what we were aiming to do at the end of the competition, which was just straight GPS navigation. Don't even try for obstacle avoidance. A lot of these tasks are very difficult, and it's very hard to do analogous testing. So
that's the thing, right? Depending on the pathway that you have in Auton, not having obstacle avoidance could just destroy your run, or you could be lucky and just pure straight GPS could work. And in other tasks, part of your rover could break, or a component could just have a failure that's not necessarily in your control, and you don't happen to not have a spare of that one, or your spare got damaged during transportation, or like there's a lot of things that can go wrong where you can say like you're trying for first place, but
there's a little bit of luck involved. It's never.
Yeah, it's possible
so
to do a lot of
white,
things
definitely.
right and still not be in first place just because of luck or of one misjudgment you make, or you plan for a part of the competition to be a certain way, but then it was slightly different, and that's just not compatible with your design decisions. Like, there's a lot
like
that
the
can
soil.
happen. Yeah, like the soil being sandy and loose instead of more compact, and suddenly your pickup is, for the science task, is really kind of having a very difficult time picking up soil. That's a problem we've had in the past.
Yeah, even just like on extreme traversal.
Yeah,
there were times where the rover almost like flipped over on the slope, but then like our driver just like corrected and
the Furrows 180 move. I was outside walking after the thing, and you see it go up, and you're like, you see the moment it loses balance, and you're like, that thing is about to fall over, like just. And he just cranked on the joystick. You see it do a 180 and just recover its balance. Oh, that was amazing. Beautiful move.
Yeah. The other time I remember where there was a lot of luck involved was again, extreme traversal, where we had to drop those tools off by the astronauts. And it was just like, it came up to judges' deliberation because we were like within 0.5 of the range we had to drop it in or something like that. And at the time, they couldn't tell us if they were going to count this points or not. So they had to take some time, and by the end of the day, we figured out what happened. Like, there's always luck involved. It's never straightforward.
Like, I think it was literally the astronaut had baggy clothes, and like depending on where on the clothes you measured from, we were either within or outside of range, and they were like, okay, we're not sure how we're going to count this. And then the scales at the competition, obviously, like all measuring equipment, they have some degree of error, and the calibration isn't always perfect. And
depends on who's reading it too.
Yeah, it depends on how it's being read, and you're always out in the middle of the desert, so like the facilities are what they're able to get out there in terms of scales and ways to get the rover on the scale. One scale reads us in underweight, and then one scale reads us in a pound overweight, which is a huge problem.
One year we had to swap out some of those aluminum and rubber wheels to something,
for the old ones,
to the old ones that were a bit lighter.
And then we went and we checked with, I think, a bathroom scale afterwards to weigh the weight of the wheels, and the numbers just weren't really lining up. Or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but we talked to the competition people, and eventually there was some adjustment there, I believe. But yeah, a lot of it's due to luck. I'm not putting any blame, right? Measurement equipment has variation. That's just how it is. There's a lot of factors that you can't control. So people think, oh, you plan for everything. No, you can't. It's impossible.
There's always something that comes up. You never plan for everything.
It's the same with the competition too. Like when they're running the competition, unexpected things come up with the competition itself.
Whether it's weather or something else. Yeah, there's always something at play.
Everyone just kind of has to roll with the punches and do the best they can. So,
makes sense.
Or the massive global pandemic. Oh my God.
So speaking of COVID, what is the first thing the team is doing after the pandemic?
Paintball.
Flying.
We're just going to shoot each other. I was going to go.
I want to give everybody the opportunity to cause me pain. That's
I gotta cause Luka some pain.
Exactly. I don't want to play paintball against Adam because I know he's gonna like take out some deep-seated issues on me. I know.
Oh geez. We'll probably have a bit of a get together.
Yeah, probably.
Kind of just catch up with everyone. It's been a really long time since any of us have seen each other. in person.
I'll sit in the shop table and be like Knights of the Round Table, except it's square and it's in a asbestos-laden basement.
Honestly. Oh, I can't wait for Raccoons to come back into our shop once we're there again. I remember my first
Volkswagen
night,
Beetle.
like staying in the shop overnight. I had the shop door open and someone left the door open to the stairs and a raccoon just walked in. I'm just like, oh, okay.
So, dude.
Aren't they vicious?
No, this thing was just like waddling around minding its own business. Like I tried to
Toronto
swat it
raccoons are
around
vicious,
with a
yeah.
broom to get it out and then close the door. It ended up climbing over the wall into like the backspace going into Kerr Hall. I ended up calling security and they're like, oh, we can see it. Like they took the flashlights and they could see its eyes and was like, yeah, we can't do anything. Have a good night. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Bye, have a good time.
Honestly.
Yeah, I had a raccoon once actually like walk up to me and like paw at my leg. It was like a little baby raccoon.
Okay.
Not in the school, but like in the middle of the day on my street. Actually, not even the middle of the day. I think it was the morning and I was headed to the TTC or something like that. The Toronto raccoons, they're not vicious.
scared of
They're
us at all.
they're not
He's
scared of
fun.
humans, but they're not like aggressive or anything either. They're just
vibing, honestly.
yeah, exactly. They just are. Skunks, on the other hand, those are vicious. Those are out to get you.
And steal your
Please
pizza.
tell me you haven't seen one of those in the shop.
No.
No.
Nope.
I've never seen a skunk inside Kerr Hall.
Our next question is, why should students join R3 and what advice do you have for students that are interested?
If you want to fill all your time and then get good grades, join us, I swear.
Yeah. And remember, we're kings of the good grades.
It really depends on where your priorities are in terms of grades and stuff. Like, so a lot of us maybe don't put such a high standing on getting actual good grades. Just don't let your grades suffer from stuff that you're doing. That's the biggest thing in terms of advice.
The second thing is, if you do join us, you don't necessarily need good grades to get out of here, because we've had multiple people who have had, let's not say good grades, and then they get really good jobs after, just based on experience.
That's not
So,
good grades.
I'd say join us just to learn a whole new world.
But good
Huh?
grades and good, like, for example, like robot design, not necessarily correlate.
Yeah, there's a few students I can think of where their grades were actually so bad, but they were also really good at what they did.
Yeah.
It's just, some people just don't really care that much about their grades, but that doesn't mean they're bad at engineering,
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
I don't think the correlation is too great, to be honest.
Yeah. On that note, don't put your self-worth in grades. Don't do it.
Yeah.
If you're having interest in just trying things out and seeing where things are and like just learning more and developing more, there's no reason not to join a design team or an extracurricular while you're at the university, no matter what your discipline is or what you're interested in. Even if it's not related to your studies, getting that experience and exposure is super helpful.
Just don't do it for your resume. If you're interested in joining a design team to have something to put on your resume, don't. Because first of all, hiring managers know people do that. Hiring managers will see a design team on your resume, and you know what their immediate reaction will be? Skepticism. Because you know how many resumes they get with people claiming to have done this and that on design teams, and they get to the interview and it's just nonsense.
Like, kind of to add on to that, it's not that all of us kind of do join with the expectation that, okay, this is something we can put on our resume.
Oh, for sure.
That shouldn't be your reason to join, right? Like, your reason to join should be to learn, to grow, to get experience, to develop. And then because you're doing those things, you feel empowered in a way, or you feel responsible to put it on your resume to show that you've got those skills, or as a way to facilitate that you've shown those skills or grown those skills. And that's kind of, I think, where the importance of it comes from.
Join because you want to, not because you want to improve your resume. And it will improve your resume. But if you force yourself to do something you don't want to improve your resume, you're going to get to the interview, they're going to ask you about it, and it's going to be very, very clear to them that it's, you're not really interested in it, you really didn't like it, didn't do much in it, and it'll be a point against you more than a point for you in a hiring process.
Joining any extracurricular activity will just, you get to meet a whole bunch of people, make friends, and especially with all of this online learning that people have been going through, just joining something like that and socializing and having things in common. Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So that leads to our last question, which is, how do you join the team?
You go into the middle of the Kerr Hall quad and you spin 10 times in a circle while screeching in a high pitch at the top of your lungs. We'll find you.
That's one way to do it.
Walk straight into the room.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah, that works.
Just start showing up to meetings.
Then screech in a high pitch at the top of your lungs.
No, honestly,
Oh, yeah.
if we're back on campus or when we do end up going back to campus, just ask around. We're in Kerr Hall North 003E in the basement. If you just walk in and you show interest and you ask us questions and you give us your information, we'll normally get you set up with something or get you sorted out so that you can join in some way.
So you have to like spam us, be
Optimistic.
persistent, like keep showing up.
It's part of our application filtration process. If you can find KHN 003E, that's the first hurdle.
Honestly, that's the biggest one.
Yeah, that's the biggest one.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
just
like-
getting familiar with us as well is a big thing.
Yeah, and just like being persistent, being willing to take on maybe
Being
like
okay with
smaller
memes.
tasks.
And
Yeah, that too. Like just taking on some smaller tasks until like someone's like, "Hey, I need this done. Do you want to do it?"
Yeah, and you know, it's a timing thing too. Sometimes we're really busy doing
Yeah.
things and we don't have time to onboard new people, and it's a lot harder to join the team at those times unless you come kind of fully formed. Like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, I did competitive robotics in high school and I worked on this, and this, and I'm like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I've built these things. Then that tends to be obviously kind of like, oh, well, we could use you here. And that's nothing against people who need, like, my robotics knowledge was not huge when I joined, really. If you're joining like mid-season and you need a lot of training, it's less likely, just because we tend to run the training kind of all at the same time. At the start of the season and mid-season, we're very busy with actually designing things and managing all that. And so we don't have the time to retrain people.
The best time to try and reach out or to try and join the team is like late August, early September, right around when the school year starts, because that's when we actually do hold our recruiting season, and then we start our training pretty early, maybe September, late into September or into October, and we try to finish that up as fast as we can so we can have you guys working on projects or working on stuff as soon as possible, just because that's kind of the start of our year and right after most of our competitions are done. So we're looking to make the biggest changes there.
Also, any kind of specialized skill is very useful. People who can manufacture things, people who are skilled artists or graphic designers, just stuff like that. Even things like, you think robotics team, you don't immediately think artists and graphic designers, right? You think, oh, it's an engineering team. But no, there's a huge contingent on the team of people who aren't in engineering, aren't really that interested in engineering, like in doing engineering themselves, but they're in, graphic design or whatever, and they're interested in doing a lot of that on the team. We have a whole team that just does that type of thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and then because we're underfunded, we need sponsorship. So
Money.
So we also have people who reach out for
Yeah.
sponsorships and communicate like that. Like, so if you're a business student, that might be up your alley. It's very multidisciplinary. It's not just engineers and, oh yeah, we're only interested
Science.
in designers.
We
Oh, yeah.
need
Science
science.
is a big-
Yeah, we need science
We need your
students.
bios. We need your geotechnical. We need anyone who loves rocks. If you love rocks, get over here.
Yeah,
we want you.
geologists. We want geologists.
That's true.
Yeah, if you're in bio, geology, really any kind of science student, please. We have a hard time kind of recruiting as many as engineering students. It's easier to catch all
Comp
the engineering
size. I want a
students.
we want comp
Yeah.
size too.
Comp sci too,
Anyone,
yeah.
just anyone, you come.
Literally every department at the university, if you're a
We have a
student
spot for
there,
you.
yeah,
Honestly,
we want
yeah. Even things that seem completely unrelated, like a journalism major. Well, we
Yeah.
have a team that handles
We
like
want
media
you.
related stuff right there. That's a perfect fit. Don't be like, oh, I'm in journalism and I'm interested in doing robotics, but I'm going to apply. I have to apply to join the media team. No, if you don't want to, you can apply to do the engineering side. You do not have to be an engineering major
Oh
to
yeah.
work on the engineering side of things. As long as you're able to learn and able to do it, there's absolutely no requirement for you to be in even a technical.
And then I'm in architecture, but then I started off on the mechanical design team. So
Yeah, like whatever you do on the team just has to be something that you like doing, and either you're good at it or you can get good at it. You can like learn to do it. It doesn't have to be something that you're specializing in. You don't have to be a professional. It's not like a job
we're all students
interview.
here, right?
Yeah,
We're all here to learn, to grow,
yeah,
to
like
try and develop new
exactly.
skills in some way.
Well, whatever you're interested in, give it a shot. Let us know that that's what you want to try for.
oh yeah, and then
It'll make
talent.
university go by real fast.
Yeah, and talent is just building of skills. There's no such thing as being just inherently good at something. If you
Yeah, I like
work
that.
at it, you'll be good at it.
All the people
that.
who are like, oh, you're like, oh, wow, that person is inherently talented. Look at what they can do. They're building all this stuff. Or, oh, wow, look at that guy. Look at all those like circuits he's making and all that. Now, these people
I've
did
developed
this as
those
kids.
skills.
Yeah, they did it as kids. They had parents or mentors or something that encouraged them,
It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter where you start, but like just putting in time into any subject whatsoever will usually lead to success, because a lot of people will stop because they feel frustrated. But if you just keep pushing, you can learn next to anything here.
Don't look at people that are really good at things and feel discouraged. That's like looking at like international violin soloists and being like, I'll never be that good. I'm never going to pick up the violin. You're killing yourself from the start because you can't measure up right now to someone who's been doing this since like age 5. Don't do that.
Yeah. Use it as more of a resource to try and learn so that you can get closer to that, to where your end goal actually is.
Exactly.
There's no point in trying to shoot yourself in the foot.
Compare where you are now to where you were before, not to other people. So you can see your own growth, because that's really what matters. It doesn't matter if someone else is better than you.
Also, it's kind of like social media. People you see the best aspect of someone. So when you see, oh, wow, that guy's so skilled in electrical engineering. Look at this thing he built. Yeah, you don't see the 65 fried boards in his garbage bin that he just destroyed for 6 months on the way there.
Yeah.
Kind of to add on to that, you're not going to know you're improving as much as you are as well, to be honest. A lot of the time, the improvement is really subtle and really small stuff that adds up to really big stuff. Like I remember when I joined the rover team, all I'd been doing was Vex. So it wasn't a lot, but somewhere something carried over and I managed to figure some stuff out. Within a year of that, I started picking up small things and realizing small things. And then 2 years later, 3 years later, it's just like an accumulation of all those small things. And I'm just like, oh, wait, or I've actually developed more than I realized I did, or you will. So don't kick yourself too much if you don't think you're improving as much as you are. It will show eventually, and that's something to be working towards in any case.
Like you look at your work after like a year on the team. I looked at something that I designed right when I joined, and it was brought up in the middle of a meeting, and the guy running the meeting was like, what the hell is this garbage? Why did you model it this way? I'm like, you know what, I have no idea. Like, it's very incremental to you, the improvement. Then suddenly you see, oh wow, that's what I was like a year ago. Oh geez, okay, well clearly I learned something.
Well, thank you guys for all your advice and all the banter. Thank you, viewers, for sticking around and listening to us. Yeah, and hope you guys all have a great day.